Tequila is my livelihood. And my lifestyle, Hello? What do you mean tequila's not my livelihood? Yes, it is. No, yes, it is. You know what? No, let me call Sean right now. No, because now you're making up lies. You're making up rumors about me. Give me 1 second. No, you're making up lies. Yeah, tequila is my lifestyle. What do you mean? No, it is. Hey, everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Raphael, and I'm here to review Season 5, Episode 6 of The Real Housewives Spiraling Out of Control of Salt Lake City. We start the episode off with this creepy music playing in the background. This tall man in a black suit, he heads over to Angie K's house. Then we hear Angie in the confessional say, "There's been a lot going on between me and my friends, and it's about time that they come face to face with the boss." So then she tells him, I have an offer for these women that they can't refuse. And I'm like, Angie, what are you up to? What is going on here? And then she tells him, I want you to go around everyone's house and invite them to my party, the party that me and my husband, Suspicious Sean, are having for our anniversary. And the theme is mob wives. And that explains the creepy music and the man portraying a hitman. Or maybe he's not portraying it. Maybe he really is Angie K's hitman. And if that is the case, then, and if you are watching, hey, Angie K, she's my favorite housewife ever. And obviously the theme comes from last season when they were accusing her of being in the Greek Mafia, which still sounds crazy to this day. And the show Mob Wives, came out like 13 years ago, and what a time that was. Every other episode, there was a physical fight on that show between Drita, Renee, every other episode, she was on the phone screaming, Junior! 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 And fun fact, I actually met Big Ange. I'll put a picture right here. I actually met her at her bar in Staten Island called the Drunken Monkey. She was so sweet. She was my favorite on the show, and, rest in peace, Big Ange. But I do love the theme. So then we see the tall man, right? He heads over to everybody's house. He has these posters with their faces on it that says, most wanted for, and then it's something shady, right? He heads over to Lisa's house. Lisa, this is how you know she'll be the first victim in a horror movie. She just opens up the door to him like, oh, hey. Like, Lisa, no, this is a tall man with a black suit just walking up to your house randomly with a picture of you on it. And then she's looking at it and she's like, oh my God, is this the best picture that you could get? Like, no, Lisa, you're supposed to have the baseball bat ready for this man, but okay. And then she closes the door and then John is just like, who was that? And she's like, oh, I think it was just Angie K's hitman. Like, it's just another typical Tuesday in Utah, right? So they sit down, she tells John, John, I'm actually very surprised that Angie would invite me to her anniversary party with her husband, Suspicious Sean. After everything that me and her gone through, she's actually criticized my mothering skills. And she said that I was not a good mother, and I'm a really good mother, and I can't believe that she would say that. So then her son, Henry, all of a sudden, he took out his script that he was studying the whole entire night, the night before, that Lisa had gave to him. And he was just like, Mom, I think that you're a really good mother, and it's a lie what she said about you. And I'm like, now, Henry, how many PlayStation games did Lisa bribe you with so you could say that on camera? Lisa was sitting there like, yes, baby gorgeous, yes, say it exactly how we practiced it last night. Like, okay, Lisa, you're not fooling anybody. But, Henry, he continues with his script, and he's just like, Mom, is today Wednesday? Oh, today is Monday. And I'm like, so then Lisa, she's like, oh my God, Henry, baby gorgeous, you're right. We could FaceTime Jack. Let's go talk to Jack. I would love Jack. Let's go talk to Jack. I love Jack. I love talking to Jack. Let's FaceTime him. I love FaceTiming. So then she calls Jack, right? Jack, he's in Colombia. All of a sudden he picks up and I'm like, yeah, so this whole scene was supposed to be coincidental, right? So then he picks up, he's eating Colombian food. And what did I say last season? I said that he was going to be eating good because, nobody does it like Colombian food. And I believe from what I saw in the screenshot, he was eating yuca. So he's eating good. He's eating much better than he was at Lisa's house. Then we see Whitney sitting at this restaurant and Meredith, she walks in looking like an expensive hooker with her purse in her hand, her thigh-high boots and her stiff walk. She was just like, I'm like, damn, Meredith, put some engine oil or something in your spine. The stiff-ass walk. So she sits down and she tells Whitney, well, hello, Whitney. It's nice to see you again. What's happening? Meredith in the confessional, she says, maybe Whitney will apologize for her behavior. Maybe she won't, but either way, I'm okay. Whitney tells her, Meredith, I just wanted to say that I'm really
Ooh, Ladybug, I just really wanted to say that I'm sorry for my behavior and for accusing you of putting out the rumors that you spread about my business being from Alibaba. It wasn't you, Meredith.
So Meredith, she was just like, okay, Whitney, I mean, I understand. I completely get that. I take back your apology, but who do you think is the person that put these rumors about Alibaba in your business? Whitney's looking at her, Meredith is looking at her, I'm looking at them. Whitney, she comes out with it and she's like,
Um, well, I think it's Lisa.
and Meredith is looking at her like, interesting, but why? So then Whitney, she lists off the reason like, okay, well, she was the one to tell you about the rumors first. She told you that rumor after she heard what I said about her on the podcast. She left my cheap ass necklace in Milwaukee, and now a blogger is confirming that, yeah, Lisa was the one spreading out these rumors online, so it must be Lisa. But Meredith, she made a good point in the confessional when she said, it seems that Whitney's trying to rally the troops against Lisa to try to take her down. Obviously, it worked with Angie K, and now she's trying to make it work with Meredith, but Meredith is not that foolish. At least not yet, because Meredith is just looking at her like, I'm not sure. Don't try to use my history with Lisa against me to try to turn on her, and it's not going to work. And luckily, it didn't work. So she tells Whitney, Whitney, are you really sure about that? Are you sure? Are you really sure that it's Lisa Marlowe? Like, can you really confirm that? And Whitney's looking at her like,
I'm not sure.
and at this point, Whitney, you're a snake. We've known you on the show to be a snake. Lisa's a snake. So I don't know. You two are like two anacondas just fighting against each other. At this point, I wouldn't even put it past if it was really Heather who put out that rumor to begin with the way she's moving on the show this season. So then we head over to Mary's house and she catches her son Robert going upstairs with his wife. She's like, Robert, where have you been? I've been calling your phone. You don't answer. And I already said it last week that there's obviously something going on with Robert. He continues slurring his words this week and he's just like, oh, well, I guess I just didn't get your call or maybe I missed it. I'm sorry. And I'm looking at the wife behind him like, obviously we have our own will to do whatever we want, but I do wonder how much influence she has played into his behavior on becoming who he is today, if that's the case at all, right? So then as they're going upstairs, Mary's just like, okay, well, next time answer your phone. I want to know where you're at. And then the wife, she tells Mary, I love you. And Mary surprisingly says, I love you too, baby, which I was shocked because the way she talks about the wife, you would think that she wouldn't like her or anything, but maybe she's just being cordial, right? So they go upstairs, that was that. So then Bronwyn comes over with what looks like to be dead flowers. Because I'm assuming that flowers are supposed to be nice and erect. Ooh. But her flowers were the complete opposite. They're like, like they needed some Viagra or something before she came over. She gives them to Mary. She's looking around the house like, wow, it's so beautiful in here. It's so nice. Wow. And I completely forgot that her and Mary have very similar tastes when it comes to their very oddly looking house decor. She goes into the kitchen and she's like, you have a blue kitchen as well? And I'm like, Bronwyn, shh. Like, that is nothing to be proud of. So eventually they sit down. Bronwyn, she starts telling her, well, me and Lisa, we talked at the airport, and Lisa actually knows my daughter Gwen's grandparents, but I don't really know if, Gwen should have a relationship with them just yet. Mary, she's like, well, my son Robert, he doesn't have a relationship with his grandparents. His grandfather passed away. My mom, on the other hand, me and her, we don't even have a relationship, because she was all about herself and she was never really about me. And now I see why that conversation that Brittany, that she mentioned a couple of episodes ago, how she doesn't have a relationship with her daughters. Now I see why that triggered Mary back then, because Mary is looking at Brittany like, you should, you're the mom. You should be nicer to your daughters, yet you're so far up any man's ass, but yet not your daughters. Then they started talking about Heather and how Heather continues, stirring the pot and continues, collecting bones and just throwing them all over the place. And yet Bronwyn and Mary, they're really catching on to Heather's bullshit this season. Obviously, we all have, but for some reason, everybody else on the cast is just letting it just fly over their heads, not Bronwyn and Mary, because Bronwyn is just like, it's just very interesting how every time something negative about somebody is spread within the group, it's because of Heather. And I'm like, yes, Bronwyn, yes. Yes, exactly. Now you're catching on. Mary, she's already been caught on, and she's like, yeah, she's a fake ass bitch. At least that's what I thought she was gonna say. Heather is fake. She's a two-faced person. I confronted her just last week, and I told her, like, yeah, you do leave a paper trail of lies, and you never really say anything to anybody's faces. You always say behind their back, and then you cause a bunch of mess, and then you're like, wait, what just happened? And again, I've been saying it's because Heather, this show has really gotten to her head that she really just thinks she thinks that she's the executive producer producer of this whole entire show. And until somebody really sits her down and tells her, no, you're not, which we will see later on in the episode, she's not gonna stop. So then we get to Angie K and Suspicious Sean's Mafia-themed anniversary party. If only they knew what was about to happen at this party. It's like Whitney foreshadowed it too, because as she's at home getting ready, she's in the glam chair, she's telling the glam people,
I'm gonna stay away from Lisa because I'm pretty sure that she's bringing her husband John, and there's nothing more annoying than a husband jumping into women's drama. And I'm like, okay, Whitney, let's see if you still feel the same way in a couple of minutes. We'll get to that though, right? So everybody's getting ready. The house is huge. Angie K's house is the perfect location for any type of cast event, right? So everybody's arriving one by one and everybody looks beautiful. Everybody, I love everybody's outfit. Whitney, she looked beautiful. Bronwyn, I mean, she showed up looking like Cookie Monster, but I mean, I like the color, so I'll give her that, but everybody looks nice. Meredith looks so beautiful. She had my favorite look. She shows up as a Suspicious Sean. Surprisingly, he didn't have his suspicious hat on. He greets her at the door, and she's like, well, thank you for having me in your house. And I'm like, oh yeah, because of last season, you know, he vowed to Angie K. She is never allowed over at the house. Bravo, they said, access denied. If your wife wants her Bravo check, you need to let Meredith come to your house for this event. So he was just like, oh, okay, fine. So then now she's here, right? So she's like, thank you so much for having me at your event. So she's walking by Angie K. She greets her and she's like, hi, Meredith, you look so good. Thank you so much for coming. They hug and, you know, they're cordial, right? Whitney, she's also there. Lisa shows up and Lisa and Angie K, they're avoiding each other. And I wish I would avoid a bitch in my own house. Like, absolutely not. If anything, I would have made an announcement like, give me the damn microphone. If your name is Lisa Barlow, you need to come over here and greet me. This is my house. Like, I'm not about to be, you know, just walking around like, oh, I can't stand that bitch in my own house. Like, that is crazy, but, you know, we get it, right? So they're all mingling, you know, they're this, that, and the third. Heather, again, there she goes trying to be the producer. She goes up to Lisa and she's like, oh, well, you know, Whitney, you know, both of you are wearing Mugler, right? And I'm like, it's like she's trying to start the match, right? And Lisa, she's just trying to play it off like, oh, really? Well, I didn't notice. You know, I love Mugler. I'm wearing Mugler. I love Mugler. So I really didn't notice. So then that was that. I believe everything, you know, everything is going fine. Everybody's mingling. Then we see the hot mess express herself. Chaotic Brittany. She shows up with this random man. I'm like, Brittany, what is going on? I mean, if anything, at least he's an upgrade, right? Because I'm looking at him and I'm like, okay, you know, now we're working with something. And then I'm like, why does he look so familiar? And then I also have a pass with him. No, I'm kidding. He looks like Zeph, Meredith's husband. And I'm like, oh, that's why you're kind of cute. So, you know, he shows up and I'm like, okay, whatever. And everybody's looking at him like, okay, who is that? Heather, of course. She was just like, oh, wait a minute. She was just like Sheree, you know, that one episode of Housewives of Atlanta. Like, she couldn't wait to throw it in somebody's face that a man wanted her, right? She goes up to them and she was just like, Aaron, what are you doing here? And I'm like, the second that she would have approached my man like that or whatever he is to me, I would have been like, Heather, back the fuck up. Like, this is my dick for tonight. And she's like, oh my God, Aaron, like, I know you. I know Aaron. Chaotic Brittany, she does look beautiful. She does look good. She was just like, wait, how do you two know each other? And she was like, oh, well, we kissed before. We made out. And I'm like, Heather, what happened to girl code? Like, absolutely not. The chaotic Brittany was way better than me because the second that she would have said that, I would have told the cameraman, like, okay, you need to cut that footage off the episode. I'm going to throw a drink in Heather's face and we're going to keep it moving. Like, how do you have the audacity to come up to me and say that you made out with my man? So we're basically sharing dick at this point. And she's like, well, you know, Salt Lake City is a small city. And at this point, I really, truly believe it because how does Lisa know Gwen's grandparents? And if we all remember, Lisa's husband, John, he dated Lisa's sister, who I think they're twins or something, at one point as well. So yeah, Salt Lake City, yeah, just the whole creepy city in general. Like, ugh. Everybody needs to get out more. So they're married. Mary, she rushes to, you know, Aaron, right? AKA Jared. And she's like, oh my God, Jared, nice to meet you, Jared. And they're all looking at her like, no, that's not Jared.
I was dying. This whole episode was crazy. I'm like, Mary, at least she was trying to be polite, right? She was like, Jared, nice to meet you. And then chaotic Brittany's like, no, this is not Jared. And then Mary's just like, her eyeballs almost popped out of her socket. She was just like, okay, so who are you? Like, just a hot mess, right? And then they're like, no, this is Erin. This is her new guy. And then Mary just awkwardly walked away like, you know what? Never mind. I try to be nice and never mind. And then in the confessional, she was just like, who is Erin? I'm telling you, Mary had me dying this entire dinner party, right? Angie K and Suspicious Sean, they get on the podium to do a toast. Angie K, she was kind of shady towards Meredith, and she was just like, thank you, everybody, for coming out to me and Sean's party. Me and Sean have been through the rumors and the nastiness. Obviously taking a dig at Meredith. Meredith did not like that. She's in the crowd looking at her like, keep playing around with me, bitch, and I'll come after your husband again. But it was cute though. So they get down, the dad, he does a toast, a very passive aggressive one. I wasn't sure if he was trying to be shady towards Sean, and he was just like, you know, when I first met Sean, you know, I thought that my daughter could do better. You know, I didn't really like him. I thought he was trash. He had this long, greasy hair, and, you know, he just didn't know how to dress. And I just thought that she could do better. But he's a really great guy. And I'm like, so then we see a throwback photo of Angie K and Sean, and I'm not sure who those two people were in the picture, but it definitely wasn't Angie K. It looked like Teresa Giudice and Fabio. Like, that is not Angie K. So then Bronwyn gets some payback on Heather, and she goes up to Angie, and she's like, well, you know, Heather actually went up to Lisa, and she told her that you said some off-putting comments about her mothering skills. And I'm like, yes, Bronwyn, yes. Pull a Heather on Heather. Oh, and then Melee, the other friend of the show, she shows up. So then we see chaotic Brittany. Oh, and since this is a Mafia theme party, you know, let me dress for the occasion. Let me get my fur. So expensive and luxurious. You know, we see chaotic Brittany. She's talking to Lisa, and she's like, look, we're good, right? You know I told you that you're obsessed with my relationship with Jared, but I have a new man now for 2 seconds, so we're good, right? Lisa's like, I mean, yeah, we're good right now, but, you know, I was just so confused why you were coming at me over Jared. I thought I was being a good friend to you. So then that was that. Mary, she pops up, and she's like, hey, what's going on? And Lisa's like, wait a minute, Mary, me and you are good, right? Like, I just feel like, you know, sometimes, you know, we get into it for nothing, and Mary's just like, I mean, anytime I have anything to say about anybody, you always jump in and take their side. And yeah, Lisa, you do have a history on the show. Anytime Mary says anything, you're always jumping into it when it has nothing to do with you. But then again, that's just you. You always have a pattern with everybody, with doing that with everybody on the show. So then Heather, she shows up and, you know, let me take my fur off. Because this whole conversation makes a quick left turn, because as they're talking, Lisa tells Heather, you know, Mary, she says that, you know, you're a liar or something like that you leave a trail of lies. And Mary's just like, yeah, you are a liar, Heather. And Heather, I'm not sure what kind of drinks, you know, Angie K and Suspicious Sean were serving, or I don't know what kind of Ozempic that she took that day, but she just went completely left with Mary. She went from 0 to 100. She's like, don't you ever fucking call me a liar. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Relax, lady, relax. And Mary's just like, don't you dare. I'm like, wait a minute. We were just having a civilized conversation. Like, Heather just went from 0 to 100 for no reason. Heather continues going off, and she's like, when have I ever lied about anything? I've always told the truth to everybody's faces. Did you not lie to everybody on this cast about your black eye? Again, Heather, it doesn't matter what you say or do moving forward, that will always stain your credibility on the show. Because of that, we're always going to look at you as a liar. And it wasn't even a small lie. It was a huge cover-up for Jen Shah, a criminal. You know, so then she tells Mary, don't push me. And I'm like, oh. I just wish that Mary would have told her, or what? Because there would have been a bunch of drinks just being thrown in her direction. Mary was just like, no, you don't push me. God knows. And Heather's just like, yeah, God knows. You know, God is looking down at this episode like, yeah, I know, Heather, but I'm Team Mary. God is probably looking at this like, now why am I in it? Like, Heather, I mean, her whole entire vein was coming out. And I'm like, oof. you're so angry, and for what? Because Mary's calling you out on your BS? Like, you don't like that, right? Because Mary is correct. So then Heather's just like, I've always been nice to you, and, anytime I try to expose any type of truth for you, you say it's a lie. So why are you calling me a liar? What have I done to you? And I mean, to to a certain capacity, I can see where Heather's coming from, because Mary, she has said some awful things about Heather in the past, uncalled for, but I mean, at this point, Heather... So then she tells Mary, when have I ever done anything bad to you? Mary, she turned it around on her and she gave it a second. She was like, when have you ever done anything good for me? And Heather, she was just like, and I'm like, well, I guess we come to a draw. But Heather, I mean, you were getting chewed up by Mary. And the chewing is not done, because then we still got Bronwyn. So then Mary, eventually they split up. I believe that Heather wanted a hug. Mary was just like, no. Mary goes to sit next to Electra, I believe, Angie K's daughter. And then Mary, she starts whispering to her, oh, I just got into it with Heather. I'm like, now, Mary, why are you telling a 12-year-old girl that you just got into it with Heather? Electra's looking at her like, who's Heather? And Mary's just like, oh, women, they're just so complicated. But yeah, we got into it, but I put her in her place. And then she starts laughing like, like, Mary is hilarious. So then Heather, she goes, oh no, Angie confronts Heather and she's like, Heather, I heard that you were going around spreading things about what I said about Lisa's mothering skills. And Heather's just like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, what? I know Heather probably had a huge headache after this. Like, damn, first I was getting dragged by Mary, now I have to get dragged by you, now I have to get dragged by Bronwyn. She's like, no, let's just go up to Bronwyn. So they go up to Bronwyn, and Bronwyn is just like, I mean, yeah, you did say this about Lisa, so what's the problem? I'm just pulling a you on you, right? What's the problem? And Heather is such a hypocrite, but we all know that. Heather was just like, wow, why are you so invested in what I'm saying about Lisa or Angie? Why do you care? And I'm like, again, Heather, the same could be said about you and applied to you about what you said earlier this season. Why do you care so much about what Bronwyn has to say about Whitney? You said it to Whitney, you decided to say it in front of the whole table, right? A couple of episodes ago. But now that Bronwyn pulls a you on you, now you're upset about it? Like, it is just crazy. And Bronwyn, she said it perfectly. Finally, she tells Heather, I think the real issue is that you think that you're the head bitch in charge of this whole entire group, and you want to manipulate and control everybody's relationships on the show. And that's just not the case. And that's exactly what it is, Bronwyn. Call her out. Call that bitch out again. Like, that's exactly what it is. Heather, she thinks that she's the head bitch in charge, especially after the whole, receipts, timeline, whatever, last season. I know that really got into her head, and now she just thinks that she's the queen bee, and guess what? You're not. I'm the queen bee. I'm the HBIC. And you know what's crazy? What's so funny, Heather, is that Jen Shah, she is sitting somewhere in someone's jail cell right now, probably, playing around with a coloring book, and she is still the head bitch in charge of this whole entire show. And you're not. As everything is calming down, everything goes right back up again, because then the man of the hour, Jared Osman, he walks through the door, and I'm like, why is he here? So now everybody's shocked, like, wait, why is he here? Who invited him? They tell Brittany, look who's at the door. Brittany, she looks over and she's like, for a second I thought she was gonna break out into choreography or something. She was just like, I'm like, what is going on? And Aaron, the guy that she rented for the night, he's just looking at the door. He's looking at Jared like, huh? Is that supposed to be my replacement? So then Jared, he walks in, with a nice tuxedo, a nice haircut. And I'm like, oh, so this wasn't planned? Okay. And I'm still trying to figure out, like, who invited him. Come to find out, it was Whitney's husband, Justin. He turned into Justina, because we see him in the back patio, right? He's hanging out with the guys, and then he texts Jared. First of all, why do they have each other's numbers? Like, is Salt Lake City really that small of a city that everybody knows each other like that? He texts Jared like, hey, you want to be messy and come on over to Angie K's house? First of all, did you get Angie K and Suspicious Sean's permission to do that? You're just invited anybody to the house like that? He asked him, like, oh, do you want to come over? We're down the street if you want. So now Jerry, he put on his nice tuxedo or whatever, and then he showed up. Right, like Justin, I thought Justin was going to be in the intro for this episode, holding a snowflake with a white dress and everything. I'm like, wow, Justina, what's the quote? Behind every strong woman is a messy bitch, and here we are. Messy bitches get married to messy bitches. Like, wow, Justina. And then we get a confessional from him. I'm like, this whole episode is just a hot random mess, right? So then Jerry, he walks in like he's the HBIC, and he goes over to Brittany like, can we just talk outside for a second? Now, if I was Aaron, the guy that she rented for the night, I would have been like, no, that's my woman. Like, we're together right now. Like, you're old news, but here goes Brittany. Okay, let's go. I would have felt so disrespected if I was Aaron. Aaron, he's left on the couch being interrogated by Mary. And Mary's just like, wait, so how long have you and Brittany been dating? And he's just like, me and Brittany didn't discuss this. It's just been a short while, like a month or something. And Mary's just like, oh. I was shocked too. I'm like, a month? And she's already bringing you to events? Okay, so then meanwhile, back outside, right? Brittany, she is crying, she's spiraling out of control, and this whole thing is like a whole telenovela because Jared, he's just like, baby, I really want you back. I want you back into my life. And then, Brittany's just like, no, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I tried this before. I can't. Like, you're no good for me. But baby, please, I can work on myself. I promise you I can. No, I can't. I trusted you way too many times. But baby, please, I promise this is going to be different this time. I can't. I gave you my heart way too many times and you broke it way too many times. But I promise it's going to be, just come over here. Like, stop. You know that guy, Aaron. He doesn't do you like the way I do, baby. Just come back over, come back home, and everything is gonna be okay. Or both of you could come back home together. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, Brittany, don't fall for it. She's just crying, and so then eventually she just goes back inside. She's like, I can't do this right now. No, she goes back inside. Bronwyn is looking at her, and Bronwyn is just so annoyed. She's just over Brittany's theatrics, and she's like, do you need a hug or something? And, Brittany, she looks up and she's like, I think I do. And Bronwyn had me laughing between her and Mary. She looks at her and she's like, oh, okay, come over here. And she hugs her. Like, wait to just kick her down even lower, Bronwyn. So then Whitney, she goes over to Lisa, who's sitting down, and she's like, Lisa, can we just talk for a second really quick? And Lisa's like, okay, fine. So then Whitney, she's like, I just want to say that, I found out that through my resources that it's really you that you're putting out all those rumors about, my jewelry being from Alibaba. Why did she tell Lisa that? Because we thought Heather went crazy. Lisa, she turned into a damn volcano, a tornado, if you will. She was just like, first of all, Whitney, you will now continue these lies with me. I did not say anything about Alibaba with your jewelry. You need to fucking stop that and stop these lies. No, I cannot. You're lying on me. You're lying to me right now. I cannot right now. And I'm like, Lisa, everybody's so angry on this episode. Like, Heather and you two need to, relax a little bit. Go back to the salt room that you went to last week with Bronwyn. Like, relax. It's not that serious. But she is spiraling out of control. And Whitney's just like, yeah, no, you did. Because, my sources told me that, yeah, you messaged them on Instagram. Lisa, she loses it. And she's like, no, you need to fucking stop. You need to fucking stop right now. I cannot right now. Hold on. Give me my phone. Hello? Yeah, no, Sean? Yeah, no, you need to call everybody. You need to call the FBI, call the police, call the president, call Dora the Explorer, call Annalise Keating, call her for sure. Who else can you call? Call the Totally Spies, call Charlie's Angels, call everybody, because no, this is a mess. Like, people are lying to me, and I want you to go to the full extent. I'm like, I know the person on the other line is just rolling his fucking eyes at Lisa like, stop calling me, bitch. And Whitney's just looking at her like, and Lisa is just going off. She was just like, you know what? No, Whitney, I cannot right now with this. Yes, you continue making me into this bad person. I am not this. You know what? No, I'm done with this. Hello, Sean? Yeah, no, did you call Charlie's Angels? Yeah, no, I'm so done with this. And don't forget to call Scooby-Doo and the gang because I know that they could solve this quickly. No, you know what, Whitney? I'm leaving. No, because I just can't. And you know what, Whitney? I am so sorry. This episode had me laughing. I was literally on the edge of my seat the whole entire episode. I'm like, Lisa, what is going on? Now, do I think that she's guilty? I mean, I don't know. The way she was acting and spiraling out of control. Now, imagine if she does all of this just for Sean to message her back like, hey, Lisa, yeah, no, I did my research and it confirms that it was you. That would be crazy. So then she walks up to Justin, right? Whitney's husband, who's standing around looking like an angry polar bear next to John, Lisa's husband. And she's like, oh, what's his name, Justin? Yeah, it's so funny that you're married to a liar. You're married to a liar. You're married to a liar. So she keeps walking away. She keeps going back. Justin, he takes one step forward and he's like, overtowering Lisa. And I'm like, Justin, relax. She's a woman. What are you doing? Like, yeah, she approached you, but stop. Like, de-escalate the whole situation and just walk away. So then John, Lisa's husband, he jumps in it. And I'm like, okay, now what are you going to do? Because both of you are just going to get stomped out by him. So then he jumps in there and he's like, whoa, like, stop. Whitney, she comes over and she's like, babe, stop. No, don't do anything. Stop, back up. And he's holding a drink. So he's like, no, get off me. And I believe that John grabs him. And all we hear Justina say, no, stop, because I'm going to pound him. And I'm like, ooh, is that type of party? Like, you're going to do what? He said he's going to pound him really hard. And it was left out of to be continued, but yeah, this episode was really, really, really good. It had me on the edge of my seat. The whole event was perfect. Everybody was fully activated. Like Brittany, I like Brittany. I think that she should be a full-time housewife, no matter how chaotic her life is. But, because we've seen worse. As for Justin, Justin, you need to stop because you were literally about to just stomp out Lisa. Like, stop. Like, and if anything, you're also being messy too, Justina. Wanted to hold a snowflake so badly between you and Brittany, but that was that. Let me know what you all thought about this whole entire chaotic episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.